Test number one. Are you ready? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the second time that I've filmed this video, but we're here and I'm going to be doing my fears Q&A. So on Instagram last week I asked if there was anyone who had any fears surrounding the subject of photography and any fears that you had about going into a creative industry or being a creative in general. So here we are. I've got my questions here written down, and yeah, so I've got my notepad here and I'm gonna keep referring back to that. I've also got this top on which says intrepid despite fear in honour of this video, and I don't know why I've gone through life not knowing what this word meant, but here we are. I've learned what this word means now, and it means basically adventurous or curious. But yeah, I thought I'd wear it for this video because why not? Yeah, let's jump right into the questions. So the first question is, how do you shoot in public with people watching? I've got a few points of what I do to get over this, and as I've been going out over the years I've got used to actually going out and shooting in front of people. I find it less scary now. I do still find it scary, and when I first started shooting self-portraits specifically, I found it petrifying because you just don't know what people are going to say, you don't know what people are going to think. Come up with a few points of what I do now to sort of get over that. The first thing that I do is pretend that I am the only person there and I remain focused on what I have to do. So if I go out and shoot a picture and there's things around me that can sort of sway my focus, for example people walking the dogs in the forest or something, I just remain focused on what I'm doing. Not ignore them, but know that they're there, and if they want to come up and talk to me then it's fine, but I am doing a job or I'm doing what I need to do in life. So I feel like if I pretend that I'm the only person on this planet, then I get over the fact that people are there. Going on from that, if someone does want to talk to you whilst you're doing a self-portrait, then invite them over for a chat. Have a chat with them about what you're doing. Some people ask out of curiosity because it's not the norm, and they're just wondering what's going on there. I've had it a few times, especially on my 7-day self-portrait challenge. I'll leave the link to the video below so you can go and have a look, but this woman came over to me and she had two absolutely gorgeous lurcher, I think, dogs, and we just had a massive chat about what I was doing, and then we had a huge chat about how she'd rescued these dogs, and I just got to know her and it was really nice, and she was so happy with the fact that I was doing it. I think she even made a comment about she loved the fact that something was going on in the area and that there was a creative person doing something creative in that area. I feel like she was very happy with it. However, saying that, on the same shoot I did have a man walk past me and say something like, he was obviously embarrassed that I was there and they were there, and him and his wife were just walking past me, and I glanced at them and he said, "I'm not gonna ask," and I was like, "You can ask if you want, I'm happy to tell." I feel like you just have to be a bit more open with people because people are really a bit scared of things that aren't normal. But understand that people find it out of the ordinary and potentially are curious or just don't want to talk about it because they just want to blank it out. You know, just put it into their court rather than how you're embarrassed of them finding you. In the fact that you're there to do a job, you need to do what you need to do to get the self-portrait, and they're walking past. And it's a free country, unless you're in a location that obviously you're not allowed to be in, then fair enough, you shouldn't be there. But for example, in a forest or like a field, if someone's walking past, you're both in your right to be there, so why is it such an issue? The next thing I'd say is, for me, the fear of not doing it overrides the fear of actually doing it, like physically taking a picture. So if I'm out and chicken out of actually doing it, then I come back way more disappointed. And I find that I do it for my future self, if that makes sense. So when I'm out there, I just go, keep doing it, keep going, keep going, keep going, focus, focus, get through it. Then when you get home, you're just like, yes, I did it! I'm so elated that I did it and I got through it. It's just the best feeling. I think that's like what I live for, is that like feeling of getting over that fear. Another thing I'd suggest is also to take someone with you. So I am lucky enough to have Jack, who is very happy to come along and help me with my shoots sometimes, so I have that to fall back on. But if you're feeling as though you are scared to go out there for the very first time, take someone with you who is up for helping you, and then maybe take them for the first few times. Then after that you might feel more confident in doing it, and just pretend that they're still there. And I think it just helps you to focus more because you've already done it once. So doing it again is like, it's just natural to you now. So on your own it is a little bit more scarier, but I feel like once you've done it once with people and a person around you to help you, then It's just a little bit more of like a doorway into actually doing it on your own. Also, this may sound absolutely the most existential thing you've ever heard, but we are just a floating planet, billions of people trying to find their way in life. So just think of it really in that respect, that you are just a little speck on a planet. I know it sounds really scary, but you are just a speck on a planet going out and taking a self-portrait. Yeah, just pretend that you're a little speck on a planet and you'll be fine. Not going to be an earthquake, a tornado, you're not going to die. You're only literally putting a tripod in front of you with a camera on it, taking a picture of yourself. It's not the end of the world. If someone has a problem with it, then it's their issue, not yours. You just do what you need to do. I need to mention this book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I read it a couple of years ago now, and it is such a good book to dealing with fear. There's one thing that she says in it, I'll probably misquote this, so you probably have to read the book. So when she's imagining a goal or an idea, she has ambition in the front seat of a car and fear in the back seat of the car, and you should never listen to the backseat driver. They're there to give you like a nudge, but they're not there to take control. The ambition is. So just remember that the ambition is there to drive you. Your goals and your focus is there to make sure you get over it. Fear is just that niggling horrible thing in the back of your head. It's going to be there to protect you, but you just don't need protecting in that situation unless you are shooting obviously on the edge of a cliff and you might get blown off. Then yeah, fair enough, you've got to be scared of that. If you're not doing anything dangerous, illegal, then it's not the end of the world. Next question is, how do you get over the fear of failing an image / idea? Obviously I am a self-portrait photographer. I do other shoots and work with models, and obviously I'm a wedding photographer, but I'm just going to apply this more to self-portraits just for the fact that I've had a lot of experience in it. When I'm going out to shoot an idea, I always make sure that I have a plan A, B, C, D, E, so on. I know what I need to do if something goes wrong. Mainly like preparing it beforehand rather than just going out. However, saying that, I'm a very spontaneous shooter as well, so I sometimes just like to take a few props and a couple of ideas like floating around in my head and go out and see if it works. I'm a very experimental photographer when it comes to that. However, if I've got a big idea that I need to execute, then I just go out and experiment different ways that I can do it. So for example, if I did have an idea and the first way of shooting it didn't work, then I'd look to plan B and then to plan C and then see how far I can go until actually I've got to give up on this idea, or I get the idea and it comes to fruition. If it fails, just try again. You can always go back the next day to the location's not going to change unless it's like a springtime location or it's snow or winter, you know, like autumn. Like if it depends on the weather, then you'll have to wait till the next year, but that's fine. Just move on to the next idea. Accept that it's not worked and move on. When I go out with a big idea, I always have a few, maybe like 1 or 2 small ideas in the back of my mind that I could do alongside that idea. And this is just so that I know that I'm satisfied from a shoot, because it takes a lot of effort to go out and shoot. If it doesn't come out the way that I like it, then I know that I've got a couple of ideas that I could do quickly that are going to satisfy my needs, because the way that I shoot is I need to be satisfied in like quick bursts. Like my attention span is really like, I'm not patient, let's just put it that way. I like to be satisfied from an idea really quickly. Big idea didn't work, then I know that I can shoot it another day and I've still got something and I'm out of that shoot. So another thing out of the Elizabeth Gilbert book, Big Magic, I'm probably going to misquote this again, so read the book, but she says in the book that she had an idea for a book for about 5 years, maybe less than that, and because she's a writer, so she had this novel idea and she wanted to write it and she kept going back to it and really, you know, like was so interested in doing it, and then all of a sudden someone from afar, one of her fellow authors, think maybe in a different country, actually wrote a book about this subject, and it was better than she could have written it herself. So she sort of accepted that she couldn't write that book and moved on from it. And if you have an idea that someone else does better, leave them to it. That is fine. They should be able to do it as, you know, as well. I don't mean obviously copying, that's a different story. I'll talk about that in another video. But what I mean is, if you have an idea that you've kept to yourself and then all of a sudden it pops up over there and you feel like you've been manifesting that idea and they've done it better, then just move on from it. You don't have to always do every idea that you get. So if you do fail an idea or it fails you, then I think the best way to handle it is just to move on. So the third question is, how do you get over the fear of maybe not meeting your model's expectations? So obviously, again, I'm a self-portrait photographer, so I don't work with models all the time, but when I do work with them, and when I have worked with them in the past, I make sure that I manage their expectations of the shoot and what they're going to expect from me. Usually the models know, because obviously they've seen me online, they've seen my Instagram, they've seen like my portfolio. They'll know what kind of poses to do, what kind of shoot that I'm going to be doing, and they're just usually up for everything. So the best way to do it is, if you have an idea, make sure that you are telling the model beforehand the idea in its entirety, so that on the day they're not surprised. And if after the shoot has not worked, then you can always reshoot. Usually people are very happy to do that. You maybe have to go that extra mile to accommodate the model, because obviously they've gone out their way to shoot with you, so you might have to just put in that extra effort. But if it is worth it to you, then just do it. Best way to sort of get over a failed shoot is to reshoot. Also, I know it sounds really cringy, but just know that you tried your best, and if you didn't try your best on the day, again, it gives you that allowance to then reshoot. If you feel like you've done your absolute best and it's not worked, then maybe the idea is just taken as a learning curve, experiment, you know, just use it as a little bit of a portfolio builder if you need to. And again, I think as well, if you're shooting on the day and you're not enjoying the way that you're shooting or the posing, then don't be afraid to tell the model that they're not doing it the right way, because the worst thing that you can do is let someone think that they are doing it the right way and it's not working for you. Always make sure that the model knows that they are doing something right, and then they'll feel happier about that. And then essentially you're going to get the shot that you want, because the model can then move positions, or, you know, you can communicate it. So always communicate with your model about that. The next question on my list is, how do you get over the fear of going for it? In brackets, not knowing whether you will be successful / able to make money. So I just want to start this question with the saying that I have an absolute fear of not doing it. So that overrides anything that is fearing me to go for it. And that drives me in that right direction. I don't know about you, but there is absolutely no other thing that I want to do on this planet Earth other than photography, create art, be creative, make things. There is literally no other thing that I want to do. So I have that in my mind, that I have to make this work for my own sanity and for everyone around me. I have to make this work for me. But saying that, I do understand that obviously money comes into it and you have to be comfortable in making a living. But you could always have a job on the side of it. There's nothing stopping you there, knowing that going to that job is funding your passion and your ambition to become this creative photographer, that kind of thing. You've said about success. Success to me is different things. I have a list of successes that matter to me. So some people obviously have money, that means that they are successful, and that's fine. If that is what drives you, then go for it. It obviously drives me because I need to make a living so that I can live freely doing my art. That's what I need money for, and obviously to eat and live in a house. I think you just have to follow what makes you happy and just go for that, rather than caring about feeling scared about going for it. You just have to sort of just follow what makes you happy. One of the big things that I think all photographers and all creatives go through is comparing themselves to other people. I used to do this a few years back, and then I got to the point where I just said, no, I'm not doing it anymore. It is getting me down, it's stopping me from where I want to go, it's stopping me from progressing and doing my own ideas. So I decided to myself, no, that's not what I'm going to be doing. I think that's probably the only thing that stopped me from going for it. I realised that there was enough work to go around for everyone, and at the end of the day, as an artist, I'm creating work from myself, from within me. I am the only person that can do that. I am the only person, and you are the only person that can do your work. At the end of the day, like, no one can do your work for you. They're putting in as much hard work as they need to for their path. Now I need to do as much hard work as I need to for my path. So just going for it is a no-brainer. And like I said earlier, my sanity depends on it, so I just have to go for it. There's no other option. Okay, so hope these are answering your questions. Number 5, fear in doing group shots. What do you need to do in order for people to take you seriously? And in brackets, she's afraid to speak because of anxiety. I would just suggest that, I'm assuming that you're meaning for weddings, basically weddings and events. I'd make sure that you get a list of the people beforehand from the couple. So I usually go to a wedding with a list of names so that I can call them out or gather people together. Nominate someone from parties, so the wedding party, to help you with that. That usually helps me because I don't tend to like to shout out names, and the people in the party are the ones who usually know who is everyone. So they're able to then gather people together. And when you said about being taken seriously, you have been booked for this job, so therefore people should respect that, and it's their problem and not yours if they're not respecting you, because you are the professional there. You're not there to be aggressive, you're just there to do a job. And if you feel like you can't say everyone needs to get into a group shot, then I think the best thing to do is have a word with the couple and see if they can organise it together. I think you just have to remember that people aren't there to hurt you, people aren't there to get in your way. There is people that do get in your way, you just have to deal with them at the time. The best thing to do is write a list, let the couple know that you need someone to help you with gathering people together, and then just see what happens from there. I hope that helped. Another thing as well, one more thing on that, is when I have got people in front of me and they're not listening to me, I usually hold my camera up to my face and then I'll put my arm up so that people know that I'm ready. But with that, I get so many people like putting their arms up and waving back to me, so sometimes it's a bit like, okay, put your arms down now, and then I take the picture. But yeah, I just find it funny that I'm like this and everyone waves at me. But I would suggest that, because then at least someone goes, oh, picture, camera. As soon as someone sees a camera, they know that they have to like pose and smile and whatever, especially in a group shot. Just maybe put camera up and wave. And question 6 is, I think there was a bit of a longer question, but I've just wrote it down here. Fear of rejections. We all suffer from fear of rejection. I think it's just ingrained in us because we don't want to be rejected from our peers, or we want to do well in life and we want to succeed, so getting rejected is like the worst thing in the world. However, I think you just have to look at it in different ways. Sometimes rejection isn't personal, it is factors beyond your abilities. So for example, entering into a competition and you don't get picked for it, it's all subjective. So there may be someone who doesn't like your work or favours a different type of work over your work, and I don't think you should feel that personally. I think that's just more the person who is choosing your work in the competition. It's more subjective, and I always find this. It is hard when you're creating art and you want people to like your work, but if someone doesn't, it's like, oh my god, what have I done wrong? But it's just subjective. Everyone has different opinions on everything in life. Any kind of opinion is almost a good opinion because you can take from it what you've learned from that opinion and put it into your work, or you can not take it and just carry on doing what you need to do. Obviously this has happened a lot through my career. I've been rejected loads, but with weddings as well, I have had loads of couples go with another photographer, and it is so frustrating, but you just have to move on. There's just no other way to look at it other than don't get disappointed about it. They probably just preferred their work, which is not a problem. Again, it's subjective for everyone. Be confident enough that you are going to get another booking on that date, or you're going to get a better suited couple for your needs and your work, and there's no actual set way in life. So to be rejected by a couple is just not, it's not something that really bothers me anymore. I know you do this in like a regular job. If you go for an interview and your CV is rejected, usually people ask why. That's what I do. So if someone is rejecting me, I usually ask why, what's wrong, and take the points from that conversation, rectify it or listen to it and learn from it. This applies as well to, did you try your best? Did you put all the work in behind it? Have you worked as hard as you can? And if you did, try harder next time. Just keep going. I know it sounds really cliche, but I always find that you just have to put the preparation in behind something. I'm just talking generally here. I'm not really specifically saying what kind of rejection, but always ask why that you have been rejected and see what you can improve on. And I'd like to know what you would do. If you have any suggestions, please comment them below on what you do if you get rejected from something. I'd love to know like everyone's perspective on this. And finally, this is excuse me. Finally, this is the last question, question 7, but I have wrote it in a very weird way, so I'm just going to find it on my phone. One question I have is how you manage to take such big concepts and take them on head on. It's so inspiring and brave, but the results are always so perfect. This is quite confusing to me because I don't tend to go into a project thinking this is a massive project. I usually have prepared for it, so in a way it's like I don't think of the bigger picture. I just think, I mean obviously I think of the bigger picture because that's the end product, but I always think of the steps in between and how to get there. I know it sounds again really cliche, but for example example, the paint head image, that took me a long time to come up with the idea of how to get to, you know, the end image, the final result. So I needed to get a certain type of paint, a certain type of brush that I needed to work out how to photograph each concept and then put them all together in Photoshop. And again, when I come into Photoshop, I'm not really sure if it's ever going to work. I think that's the apprehension that I have before, is if it is going to work after I've taken all those little steps to get there. I just usually realise after how big of a deal that was. It tends to come after and I'm like, whoa, that actually worked, and I'm so excited about it. But yeah, the way that I do it is just to take on a concept and break it down into small little parts, so that once I've got each section, I know that it's going to create this bigger picture. I'm building up to different projects over this year, so hopefully you'll see some even bigger and better image ideas and images. I'm so excited for that. But that is the end of this video, and I hope you got some ideas and taken something away from this video and some of the concepts that I shared. If you do have any more questions regarding this subject, then please leave them below. I'd love to maybe comment, reply to them. I just want to say after this video as well that I do still get scared. I think everybody and every creative does, but the way that I channel my fears is maybe slightly different to letting them overcome me. I just make sure that I'm channeling them into excitement. I do still on a daily basis wake up with fears of things, and I do have anxieties about certain subjects. I think we all know that everybody still has fears, everyone still has hurdles that they need to get over to be able to progress. The main thing is just to take the steps. So you've probably watched this video to take those steps, and I'm glad you did, because I've enjoyed making it. I did make it once yesterday and failed miserably, but now I feel like I've nailed it. Woohoo! So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!